Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning, and very good afternoon to all. Today, we are streaming live on Student Virtual Hangout Zone for Graduate Employability, a sharing session from a reservoir engineer perspective, organized by Faculty of Engineering, UTM Johor Bahru. And viewers, you are welcome to drop any questions on the comment section, and I will read the selected questions at the end of the session. Ladies and gentlemen, today I would like to introduce our speaker for today, Mr. Dennis Ling Huasid, a reservoir engineer, digital and integration from Schlumberger, South and East Asia, Malaysia. Mr. Dennis is also UTM alumnus. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Dennis Ling Huasid to deliver his speech. Over to you, Mr. Dennis.
Hey, hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I mean, you can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. All right, thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. So I hope everyone is doing great. So first of all, I'd like to thank Anna, Salimi, Emir, and Faculty of Engineering UTM for organizing this sharing section and allow me to share my experience with you guys. So it's been 3 years since I last left UTM, and how I wish this sharing section can be a physical one and we can interact better. So, but it is what it is, right? You know, the new norm, we got to adapt to it, right? And I hope that I can have your time for the rest of the 30 minutes, 45 minutes, I hope. And we can have a Q&A, right? And I have 22 slides with me, and please bear with me, and I hope that this will be a good session for you. And I apologize if you hear some background noise, that's probably because, there's a construction ongoing on my right. So let me introduce myself. I'm Dennis Ling, reservoir engineer from Schlumberger. I'm based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So on my education background, I graduated from UTM back in 2017. So my degree was in Bachelor of Engineering, major in Petroleum. So, and I did my internship with Schlumberger back in 2016 as a wireline field trainee. And then I joined Schlumberger in 2017, 4 months later after I graduated. And my job scope right now include technical support for drilling and measurements team, for drilling and measurements team in status quo pressure test interpretations. And I provide technical support for the wireline team as well for the pressure test, downhole fluid analysis, and sampling interpretations. And last but not least is that I also provide technical support for clients in digital integration products, mainly Petrol, Reservoir Engineering, Eclipse, and Intersect, right? So, I left UTM 3 years back, means I'm still around your age, I hope, but even it's not, right? So I hope that I'm going to show you the next, the next thing should be relevant to you, what you're going to apply in your future job application and career as a student, right? Okay, so let me just start by, giving you an overview of what is petroleum. So I mean, this is probably right up in the mind of petroleum engineering students. But today I was told that we have a non-engineering students, non-petroleum engineering students, and students from other faculty as well in the room. So let me just bring you guys through what is petroleum, right? In a very short words, for sure. And so basically, we call it crude oil, right? So in a more familiar word, and probably that you guys more familiar with, is petroleum, right? So this crude oil or petroleum is a natural occurring liquid found beneath the Earth's surface. The Earth, millions of years ago, marine animals and plants live in shallow areas. So after dying and sinking to the seafloor, over millions and millions of years under high pressure, high temperature, and then the remaining of these dead marine animals and plants transform into what we know today as petroleum. So let me just show you this, right? So this is basically the color of the petroleum, right? I mean, it's dark, fresh from beneath the earth. And so let me just bring you through oil and gas industry operation, mainly divided into 3 segments. And so basically the first one is the upstream, and the next one is the midstream, and then followed by downstream, right? So let me talk about the upstream first. So in upstream, it is the operation stage in oil and gas industry that involve exploration and production, right? So this is where every petroleum engineer dreams to be, right? Working offshore. Look at this, right? So I mean, it's every petroleum engineer's dream to be in here. And this is a picture of a rig in offshore. Typically this will be deployed at oil field, and this will be the second home for most of the engineers. And sometimes they'll be living here up to months for work, right? And let me show you the next slide explaining more about exploration and production. So this is what we call the exploration and production life cycle. So where every oil field will go through this process, starting from exploration to appraisal, and then to development, and then to production, and then back to this abandonment, right? So I mean, you probably have this thing asking in you, right? Be thinking like, what does a reservoir engineer do, and where do we actually fit into this cycle, right? So our job scope is pretty much fit into this two parts of the process, the appraisal and development, right? And what we do that we help client to verify the presence of gas, oil, and water together with the reservoir simulation study. And field development plan, we help client to do field development plan. So in another word, we call it the reservoir characterization. So imagine having a model like this, right, that represents the real oil field that incorporates all the characteristics of reservoir that fits into its ability to store oil and gas, and then when you produce them as well, right? So we use this model to actually simulate the behavior of the fluids within the reservoir under different sets of conditions, and to find the optimal production techniques that will maximize the production. So it can be now, it can be 10 years from now, or even 20 years from now, right? I mean, imagine having this model, right? You can get to know the production of your field 20 years from now. How fantastic is that, right? And the next thing is that how much of oil that you're going to get by having 2 wells or having 3 wells, how is that economically feasible, right? You need to remember that when you actually drill a well, it actually costs you $1 million, right? So before you drill a well, you really want to think about it, right? You really want to think about it and decide properly. You need to make a plan and before you actually drill a well. So that's how you actually optimize your production and your revenue, right? And you don't want to drill too many wells and we end up investing something unnecessary. And then so we always, need to find that balance in them, right? And then the next one is the midstream. So this is where the processing, storing, transporting and marketing of oil, natural gas, and natural gas liquids. So people working here are mainly from pipeline, plant operation, and construction. And the next thing is the downstream. So give it a wild guess, right? I mean, every day you go to Petronas, every day you go to Shell, you go to Caltex, right? And then when you start to fill up your gas in your vehicle, so where does this actually come from, right? So basically this comes from the downstream process, right? And in this downstream process where it actually involves converting this crude oil to all these byproducts, right? Remember just now we talked about how petroleum will form and then retrieve in the upstream segment where our job is doing. And then now in the downstream, so this crude oil will be passed to downstream to actually go through what we call this fractional distillation. So the petroleum will go in as one, and then under different temperatures, it actually separated into different products, right? And so under this temperature, you have petroleum gas, this temperature you have gasoline, this temperature you have naphtha, and this temperature you have paraffins, etc., right? And so this is where your, you probably do this, most of the time, right? Filling up your gas tank, this is where it comes from. And well, so this is a very quick overview of petroleum, and what does a reservoir engineer do, oil and gas industry and its operations. So the next part will probably relate better to you, as a student in general, hopefully. So, this is probably one of the top listed questions that a student would love to know. Even me, myself as a student last time, I had this thought all the time, what is the industry expectation towards fresh graduates? Let me tell you guys, how I actually started this. And, I'd like to show you some of the examples based on my experience. Hopefully this will help you relate better. Yeah. And help you to, help you through that thought process. And so basically, what are the soft skills needed to achieve personal growth, career growth, or even that are valuable to employees, right? So this is a very, very, this is something you should be thinking right now as a student. You should actually have these questions right now in your head, And so the very first thing, the communication skills, right? By the way, guys, I'm whatever I'm showing right now in the coming slides, this is all based on my experience as a student back then, and I only want to show you what I've did. Nothing from the Google. I would love to share with you some of the events that I participated and eventually enhance my skills that I find it very, very useful even still now, and I use the skills at all time. So the first one that I would like to talk to is the communication skills, right? So let me just show you an example right here. So this picture below was me when I was in third year. So I was the organizer and forum moderator for a non-technical forum in Oil and Gas Festival 2015. So the title of this forum was Industrial Sustainability and Future Challenges. And I managed to invite these three important panels. One is from one is the general manager from Petronas, and another one is the marketing director from Schlumberger. And then another panel is a PhD student in UTM, and she had 8 years of experience, working experience as a geologist, borehole geophysicist, and recruiting manager in Schlumberger. So this lady right here. So she's currently working as a UTM lecturer in School of Chemical and Energy Engineering. So petroleum engineering student probably know her as Miss Shai. So the non-petroleum engineering students, if you have a chance to actually interact with her, that'll be very, very great. She's a super nice person, humble, knowledgeable. She used to share with me her experience on working in Schlumberger and inspire me to be one. Thanks to you, Miss Shai. I know you are seeing this. All right, so back to our topic, right? Remember I said these three important panels. Why do I say? And first of all, why do I even say important, right? Because if you notice, they are actually from different background, right? Different exposure, different position. They came together and actually discussed about this topic. And so my responsibility in here is that to ensure the forum goes smoothly and beneficial for the 150, if I'm not mistaken, it's around 150 audiences, which includes students and other industrial employees. So it is definitely easier said than done. So when you say it about smoothly, there's a lot background and on-site work needed to be done, right? Apart from that, you actually notice or actually see the main skills in here, right? Which is the communication skills. Yes, you can actually put a lot of effort preparing questions for the panels, but the key thing in here is communicating well and ensure the communication goes as interactive as possible between panels and me, right? So it is not something prepared, right? So, it is something that you think on the fly, like, how you want to make that environment comfortable for everyone, for the audience, for the speaker itself. Trust me, it is not easy. It looks easy, but there's so much of brain juice that you need to squeeze, you need to use during the time, right? So you'll be like thinking, okay, so what I'm going to say next, right? You don't want to make the forum too boring, And this is where I actually push myself, out of comfort zone. And this was my first time speaking in front of so many audience and with so many important, what I presume that as important panels, right? And now think about it, right? Think about it. After all this I said, right? Think about it. Why a company hires someone with good communication skills, right? have that in your mind. Remember when you start working, you actually have to deal with clients. Essentially when you have this skill set, your employer will have confidence on you meeting clients, leverage your company technology for good. So like they know, probably your manager gonna trust in you, right? You'd have that like thinking, this guy can do it. He has a good communication skills. I believe that he can do it. He or she can do it, right? Not just that, and how good communication skills can actually create a happy working environment and a future leader, right? Your colleagues, how you want to get along with your colleagues, that all needs to be a good communicator, and well, of course, communicating well, ensure that the tasks within a team are always well delivered to anyone, to everyone in the team, making sure there's no mistake, right? This all start with what we call the communication skills, right? And the next thing that I'd like to show you is that, it's leadership. So the picture below, it was me when I was in final year. I was a director for Schlumberger Day 2016, and being a pioneer in this event, I led a 15 committee members to make this event a success. We managed to have the Schlumberger SEA recruiting manager, Mr. Lokman right here, to officiate this event, right? So, my responsibility as a director, other than making this event a success, I wanted to create a platform for students and give them back. It's like I was in final year at that time. It's just like I feel like I want to create a platform for my juniors to actually learn more and have this opportunity, same as me. Right? So, honestly, this was just a very, very small event, but it is not the matter of a small or big event, right? What requires in here is that you need to have that leadership mindset and practice that you are, when you're already in university. So this is not something that, in a day, right? So there was a saying that if you can't do little things right, you will never be able to do big things right. So start with small, and slowly you will grow to lead a bigger team in the future. And another thing on a side note, talking about leadership, I would like to, highlight this guy over here. So Mr. Christian, right? So he was the president of SP UTM of year 2016 and 17, right? This guy, he showed the biggest support that he has for anyone that willing to take up challenges. So he was the president back then, we all have a full respect to him on his leadership, on his capability. So he's probably one of the reason, probably one of the leader that actually inspired me to be one. Yeah. Now think about it, right? And we relate back to what is industry needing right now, right? Think about it. Why a company hires someone with leadership skills? You might be thinking, no worries, it's fine. I don't want to be a manager, right? I don't want to lead a team. I don't want to lead people. Hence there's no leadership needed. That's totally incorrect mindset. Believe it or not, you will actually directly or indirectly involved in leadership. So leadership can be, from a colleague to another colleague, and of course, not to mention, if you want to become a manager one day, this is a part of it, right? You lead by example, So being in a team is a very, very important to portray your leadership. So make no mistake, right? Boss and leader, they're two different things, right? So boss is someone that actually asks you to do things, while leader is someone that actually works together with you and inspire you and the others to work towards the same goal, right? So there are difference between boss and leader. Make it clear, yeah? And leader is not created in a day. There's no specific day that you tell yourself that, oh, I'm gonna be a good leader. There's no specific day saying that, right? It requires multiple practices, consistently and learn. So when the people around you started to trust you, you know that you're on your way to become a good leader. So now I've seen a lot successful leader in my company, and even till now, they're still looking on to learning more and more. That is so inspiring, to be honest, right? And then, next soft skills that I would like to share with you is that, you talk about presentation skills, right? The picture on the left right here is me when I was presenting my final year project in international conference. So the one on the right here is when I was presenting my conference. My presentation final project in Vietnam, right? So do you know the whole idea of presentation skills? So presentation skills is more like like the skills that you need in delivering effective and engaging presentation to a variety of audience. So imagine if today you do a final year project, right? I mean, let's talk about if you're from civil engineering, right? I mean, you're a civil engineering student, right? And you do a final year project and you're presenting to your audience from partly civil engineering, and then the rest of them are not, right? They're probably from, property management or from human resources, right? So how you can actually make that engagement effective, So this come into how are you going to tell your story and your work and your project to the audience with different background, right? Well, in my situation, in this two conference, each of them, there are about hundreds, I think more than hundreds people, about 30% of them are only from petroleum engineering background. It's very hard, to actually convince someone which is not from your background, but this is the skills that you need to have. You need to craft your story, you need to create your story, you need to make your story in a way people can actually understand you, right? And then if you actually relate these skills to your future working environment, so imagine that you have to meet a client, right? That knows nothing about your product. You're selling a product and your client knows nothing about the product. How are you going to convince them technically to invest, to make sure that they can invest in your company, right? So this is started with understanding your audience background, and needs, and how you're going to craft your story and deliver it to them. A good and confident presentations help you to connect to your client. Hence you can, you after that you of course there will be a potential business success, right? For those who are, and then apart from here, right? Based on my experience, I think I would like to suggest this thing, right? For those who are interested to actually learn to enhance your presentation skills or public speaking, I'll strongly recommend one of the very, very good platform in UTM. The UTM ACES Toastmaster Club. I actually improved my public speaking skills through Toastmasters Club. Just to give you an overview, Toastmaster is a non-profit educational organization with purpose of promoting communication, public speaking, and leadership, right? So, these are the things, you can always have this platform to actually help you enhance your public speaking skills, right? And then, another skill set that I think is important, that is, your ability to network. So this was me when I joined, Offshore Technology Conference as a student volunteer. So in this event, my job was to assist the organizer, ensuring the event runs smoothly. So through here, I actually met, and interact with all these many big shots from different companies, like Schlumberger, Petronas, Shell, ExxonMobil, and etc. Right? And I get to interact with them and be visible. For me, I think this is very, very important, right? Because when you somehow create opportunity for yourself in a company, or that you might not know, so the thing is that, you tend to get more knowledge from them, right? I was amazed by how the CEO of the company present and give speeches, right? Staying in a circle of positive networking helps you to grow, and not just growing, but see things in a different perspective, and hopefully can inspire you to be like one of them, right? One day. And if you relate this skill set back to your, future working environment, how this can help you, right? Ask yourself again, how does networking helps you in your working environment, right? So think about it, right? Think about it. These skill sets can actually open more opportunity and benefits to you. And then sometimes, by just networking, you probably tend to understand your customer needs. And then, by just speaking to them, by just interacting with them, you actually understand what is their needs. And from, what is their planning, and creating good relationships. And you might be able potential to actually bring business back to your company, right? So these are the things that you should actually look through, right? And by networking, you can also have more inputs, knowledge. That you can adopt one, right? Hopefully can change the way you understand and handle things better, right? Life is about learning, right? So, even I gotta tell you this, even my manager, right now, that she actually encouraged me to participate more in all this, these events outside of the company. For example, like even right now I'm out of university already, but I'm still a committee in Society of Petroleum Engineering, Kuala Lumpur chapter. Okay, so the next soft skill that I would like to highlight to you is that is the can-do attitude, right? This picture here was me when I was in third year and final year competing in international student paper competition in 3 different places. So on the left itself, the very first competition that I've got second place in Bandung, and then that was when I was third year, right? And then the middle one when I was second attempt on the third year scene. And then the last one, this picture on the right here, I managed to get first place, right? So on the right hand side here is probably I remember that was my last competition. Yes. And so how think about it, right? How this competition goes is that, we come out with an innovative approach and on improving the oil and gas operations. And mine was about improving fluid loss in water-based drilling mud. And then I presented my idea to the competition judges, and there will be a Q&A kind of thing, like there'll be more like, how, why, what, like what makes your idea worth applying to improve oil and gas operations, right? This kind of a Q&A that you that usually we expect in the end of your competition, right? So, I started this when I was in third year, and I believe everyone has their own final year project, right? And students will only start their projects in final year, and that is why I call it final year project, right? So, but the stereotype in here started to circulate around my mind. It was thinking that I keep on asking myself, is this only like final year you can start it, right? It's not just can I start it in third year instead? So I went to consult on my final year project supervisor back then. In third year. So, and I always want to do something about it, right? Something different from the other students, right? And so I went to approach this guy. This lecturer. His name is Associate Professor Isham Ismail. So I went to him and I asked, like, sir, can I start to work on my final project now? As a third year student. So I wish to participate in a competition. He went like, I've never seen any third year student came to me for and asked to do a final year project. You might be the first one. You are the first one, but I'm always willing to help. If any one of you that know Prof. Isham Ismail, especially the petroleum engineering student, people might know him as a very strict lecturer, but for me, he's a very, very supportive, dedicated, and passionate when it comes to helping students, right? I can tell, without him, I would not have achieved all this, that when in third year, you are only allowed to go to the reading lab when there's a specific class, other than that, you're not allowed. So due to reasons that I need to conduct experimental work in lab, and he actually wrote a written permission with his signature, and whether I go to, whenever I go to the lab, the risk will be bear by him. You as a student, the most relief thing that is that to have a lecturer like him. I owe my success to this man, Professor Ismail. And relating back to this can-do attitude, I've never done anything like this before, zero experience, and all of this began with my can-do attitude, right? I always wanted to try something different, like I said, in fact, I was really proud to be a first student to actually set a benchmark, because I remember right after I left university, I was told that juniors are following my footsteps on embarking this journey in third year doing final projects, right? So now think about it, right? All in all, when you talk about, all the skill sets, you talk about can-do attitude, right? Think about it, right? If you're an employer, will you hire someone with a can-do attitude? You need to have that self-confidence, when you start working, you have responsibility and accountability, where you basically are expected to perform some tasks or projects, right? You need to show your positive attitude in handling them. Like maybe your boss asks you, like, hi Dennis, like, are you able to help out with this and that, right? For example, right? So imagine your reply will be like, I'm not sure, if I can do it, right? That actually puts a barrier between you and another people, right? Again, you need to have this kind of can-do attitude, because you need to let them know that, you need to prove to them that you are someone that they can rely on when it comes to responsibility and accountability. More and more, you will start gain people confidence and trust your capability. And then, more and more, they will start to give you more advanced tasks and projects, hence more opportunity given, right? This is how it goes, right? People start to trust in you. People start to give you a very, very small task, for example, right? And then you start to do it right. And then the next thing is that more and more people start to trust in you, and then they'll start to give you more bigger projects, and then hence you will have more chances in your career. That's how it goes. And for example, right now, I'm 3 years in the company. I was requested to work in Saudi Arabia because people trust in my capability, right? So these are something that I would like to share with you, because I think this is something you guys as a student, and when I was a student, that I thought about it, right? So what are things that you need to actually equip yourself to prepare for the industry? So, typical, when we came to this when we come to this top this is what we call the can-do attitude. We usually have this doubt in ourselves, asking that, can we actually do this? I'm not experienced. The can-do attitude actually drive you to do more. But when you have that can-do attitude, it is more than anything. Like, for example, all these skills. Remember this time I talk about the communication skills, presentation skills, and I also talk about leadership. All of this, they start with one thing, right? So what is that one thing? It's the can-do attitude. So when you have the can-do attitude, it will drive you to so many things, right? Leadership, communications, and etc. etc. Right? So and just to let you know, the slides here that I show you is just an example, right? You're not restricted to only this event and this position and doing things like I did. And there's no guideline, saying that these are the clubs or events that you should join. There's so many things that you can do in university to acquire all these skills, right? It's really up to your creativity and how you want to invest your time in all these, right? All these skills that I'm saying is not just a one day thing. It's not even a 1 week thing, right? It's not even a month thing. It requires multiple practices. Think about it. Push yourself out of comfort zone, do something out of your academic routine, right? I just really want to let you guys know, I'm an ordinary human like you guys, and I was a student like you guys. If I can do it, so do you. You might, and another thing that you might be thinking, like, I'm already in third year, right? I'm already in third year and final year now. I can't catch up all this. To show you as a living proof, I started all this, I did all this when I was in third year and final year. It's never too late if you want it, right? You will eventually find your way through. Okay, and the next thing is that, I really want to show you this, what I'm trying to show you here is that of course, I'm not going to talk about, I'm not going to talk about how you can do a resume, how you can excel in interview, right? So what I'm trying to show you here, right here, to actually remind you, remember just now of all the things that we have done, right? We have learned and we have participated, right? And this is the time that you're actually going to put your soft skills into good use, right? Which is your resume writing and interview, right? So all these questions, you can find in Google anywhere, right? But it's just that I'm trying to remind you, when you actually talk about going to interviews, when you actually talk about, creating your resumes, right? A nice resumes, how you actually provide them, give them a good resumes, right? Give yourself, create yourself a good resumes. So with that, you need to have this, what we call the involvement, right? And with that, you can actually fill up, it can help in your interview, etc., right? And then the next thing, the things that I would like to share with you as well, careers in Schlumberger. When we ask about careers in Schlumberger, what is in it for you, right? So next part of slide, I would like to share about this one, right? This is this is all based on my journey with Schlumberger. I had this question many times. I had this question many times. Like I have a bachelor degree, which is not related to petroleum engineering. How can I join Schlumberger? They keep on. I have a lot this kind of questions, right? So this is probably the perfect example of to show what we call the equality, right? So what we can see from here, right? All these field engineers, they are all from different educational background. And this lady over here, she's from chemical gas, right? She's UTM graduate as well, chemical gas engineering, right? So, when I was in wireline team, my operation managers was a lady as well, and she did her bachelor degree in chemistry. So she had a very good working history, working with Schlumberger, studying as a wireline field engineer as well. I just want to let you know, Schlumberger is a perfect equalizer. Why would I say so, right? Nothing matter but your capability and performance. So it's not your educational background, not your gender, right? So this lady over here, she worked as hard as I do, we do OT together and then, sleepless nights together, right? So, from here you can actually see, right? This equality that we apply in Schlumberger itself, we don't care about your background. We don't care about what is your degree, right? So everyone is entitled to join as long as you are capable, right? In fact, there's some. No offense, right? In fact, I think sometimes female are much more better in micromanaging than men, right? So that is what I think, because females they're more detailed in their work and all that, right? That's what I experienced so far. And then the next thing is about diversity and teamwork, right? So on the right here, you can see on the left picture here. So this is we when I attended my training in Abu Dhabi. So guess what? I'm the only Malaysian here, right? If you can see. Yeah. So all of them are from different parts of the world. And on the right-hand side here, it was me when I attended my training in France. And all these engineers, they are coming from different parts of the country, like I said, right? From Norway, from Nigeria, from South America, from the United States, having different culture and different ethnic background came together as one team, right? So, in here, how we define diversity, right? Diversity simply means wider talent pool. So from every part of the country. So that basically means more skills, like more talent, more skills, right? And also relate it back to our customer better, diverse team, means broader understanding and knowledge, right? So we, so far as my experience, we work so well together, as a diverse team and able to create excellent results for the client. That's why, another thing is like Schlumberger, they always look forward to hire young people like us, because we are convinced to be someone that are, sort of, how can I say that? To be someone that are able to bring this fresh idea for the company, while we're having this diverse team, right? Different, like I said, different people, different background, you have different ideas, and then you combine to become the best. So, having to accept different ideas, enhance. So how you can actually, when you work with different, diverse team, right? When you have different ideas, how this actually enhance and provide a better solutions to the client, right? And then, I also get questions like, how is the working environment, right? I mean, tips to survive in work. Pictures, this picture right here, that I want to show you, it tells it all. The left picture of me, it was, I think it was 2 months of internship, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or two months or 2 months plus, right? And the right picture on here, it was me together with the team celebrating Hari Raya. It was a small celebration. I mean, everyone was stranded there. I mean, they have a more important things to do, right? So we instead we have a very, very small Hari Raya celebration in one of the operator's house, right? I remember very well. The thing is that when I did this internship, there are so many things that we learn as a new employee, right? Because the environment in the base, has many safety precautions that we need to take, right? There's been times that I work until 5 a.m. in the morning because we assist the field engineers to operational check tools and load out the tools to offshore, right? So when you by the time when you actually come back home and then you sleep for a while and then you come back to the base again at 7:30, right? So we have a pickup bus where where they take us from the staff house to the base. So you don't want to miss that bus because otherwise you have to pay like what, 25 ringgits for the short journey, and then the weekend itself, also we work not every week as I was an intern, right? But I always wanted to learn more. So I usually go to the base and help out in the weekend too, together with my partner right here, the lady that I spoke to you about. So, to be honest, expectations are not as high as the field engineers compared to the trainee because I was a trainee back then, right? I mean, the expectation weren't that high because we're still learning, right? Learning phase. So we kind of can go back in 5 p.m. in the afternoon, as well. So, but that purely depends on how you want to spend more time on it, right? I mean, if you want to learn, you stay in the base and you learn more. If you don't want, then you go back at 5 p.m. No problem, right? So, but for me, at the time, I had a 3 months of an internship, right? At that time, I was thinking, I want to make use of this time, And during my internship, I learned about adaptability, right? So what we call the key point here, see, adaptability and challenging environment. So during my internship, I learned a lot about it, right? So when I see some of the team members are not going back, like I said, in here we spend Hari Raya, they're not going back because they have to stay in offshore, for example, right? So pretty much you miss, pretty much the sacrifice that you have to give is that you might miss out your parents' birthday, your best friend's wedding, your brother's marriage, for example, right? This kind of a sacrifice, is expected actually, right? As of now, I'm a permanent employee as a reservoir engineer. So the challenging environment is no kidding, right? Like I said just now, before I was a trainee, right? Right now, I'm a permanent employee. So it is a different thing, right? When you're a permanent employee, the expectation is high, right? It is no kidding. Imagine my job is to provide real-time technical support for my client. Like I mentioned earlier, I help client to verify the presence. Remember, I showed you a picture that I help client to verify the presence of gas, oil, and water, right? So my job nature is very, very, very dynamic. So in a sense that I have to work anytime, midnight, more than 12 hours, in the weekend, or even public holiday, right? So, people be enjoying, like having the good times, and you have to work, I have to adapt because that's my job nature, right? I work, and the fact is that I work very closely with the field engineer in offshore. That basically means that, offshore operations waits for no one, because, if so for your information, rig actually costs millions on daily, rig operation actually costs millions on daily. So, every single hour, every single second is money, money. So if client requires your technical support, requires my technical support at 4 a.m. in the morning, I have to wake up like 3 a.m. in the morning, and then, if they need me on public holiday, on a weekend, I have to be there, I remember spending my birthday completing a very, very urgent job request, right? So no excuses unless I'm on vacation. So this is what I'm trying to relate about the job environment, challenging work environment, right? So another part of challenging, when you talk about it, is always with the client, right? Like I said, high expectation, high responsibility. Client that pay for the services and they expect your expertise will help them to solve their problem. So I usually work very closely, very closely with the field engineer, and at the same time, communicating with the client. And then, client will be there asking, the typical client question will actually ask you, right? He said that, is this valid or not, right? Are we seeing gas right now? Are we seeing oil right now? Why this is not gas? And we did not expect this to be this. We did not expect that to be that. Why are we so slow? Why is the operation so slow? Is there anything happening? All these kind of questions. Pointed at you. Imagine not one but a group of clients asking multiple questions to you alone. Stress are always there. I won't deny. But that stress essentially, eventually push you to actually improve, right? To actually do better. In a sense that you don't want to screw up this, right? But of course, despite of all these sacrifices, we usually get compensated in terms of monetary. We usually get like for field engineers, they usually get offshore allowance. They usually get meal allowance, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and job bonus for sure, right? So like for my current job right now, I have a job bonus for every job that I did on top of my basic salary, right? So I mean, you guys are very, very probably might be very interested in this part, right? So in terms of basic salary, you can easily reach 5 digits in 2 years for an engineer in Schlumberger. I just gotta be honest with you. So basically this compensation actually compensate your challenging environment. I mean, your the way you work, the way you contribute, the way you sacrifice, so there are always compensation. It's a balance, right? The more you work, the more you earn. That's it. Of course, I mean, regardless of this sleepless night, Schlumberger always put safety at the top priority. So, if you are not able to perform job safely, we need to voice out, right? So, and our manager will handle the resources. So nothing override or nothing supersede safety. Safety is top priority in Schlumberger. So if you're tired, if you can't work, if you can't perform a job safely, you must immediately stop. This is the number one rule in Schlumberger. And then of course, to excel in Schlumberger, you have to kind of learn and work together at the same time. The time moves so quickly, and there's so many things, and there's so many knowledge that you have to absorb at the same time. When it comes together, you just need to manage your time and prioritize them together accordingly, right? And the next thing is the borderless career, right? The left picture on here is me. I mean, looking fresh, looking smart, looking, probably very, very fresh, very energetic, right? So that was my first day as a wireline field trainee. And then on the right here is my first day as a reservoir engineer. So I'm going to talk about, borderless career, right? So you probably would be asking if this is possible, right? Transition from a field trainee to a reservoir engineer. The two job profiles are totally different in terms of working environment and job scope, right? Even attire itself is very different, right? Look at this, right? This on the left is you wear coverall, and then this is first day, by the way, and the next day is all dirty, right? So, and on the right, you basically go to work with formal. So it's all different. Wear coverall and formal. So when I talk about borderless career in Schlumberger, right? So it means two things. It means two things in here. So one is the borderless career in terms of location. So like for example, you have the opportunity to work in other country because they needed talent and experience like you. You know, it can be on a permanent transfer or either a short term assignment, right? You know, once you have reached that level of expertise, so your opportunity are bigger to go on, you know, to go on an international assignment are bigger, right? So to share with you, I was assigned to work in Mumbai, India last year for 2 months, and I was supposed to go to Saudi Arabia earlier this year. So I even had my visa ready, you know, but I had to stop my travel due to this pandemic. So another borderless career in terms of career advancement, right? So remember, I said about two borderless career, right? So the first one, remember, is the borderless career in terms of location. Right now, I'm going to talk about borderless career in terms of career advancement, right? So after a fixed step training, you know, we have this kind of, we have that option to actually work on different challenging position, you know, be it in technical, sales, or management, right? You know, I've seen a lot living proof. For example, you know, people moving from field engineer to HSC, you know, to as a safety officer, as a safety specialist, right? Safety manager, and or maybe move to a HR position, right? So, you know, my recruiter last time, he was from field background. I mean, recruiter, he was from field background. So imagine that transition, right? You know, the whole idea here is that, you know, if you started as an engineer, it does not mean that you will, you know, it does not mean that you will end as an engineer. You can never limit yourself in Schlumberger, right? You know, it's more like that is why we call it the borderless career, because you can move from engineering to another segment. You know, provided there are opportunity, right? And of course, you know, you always have this option to do different things, you know. Right. So the next thing is that, you know, when we talk about just now when I talk about structured training, right? You know, in Schlumberger we have a structured training system where you'll be sent to training in their designated training center based on your job scope, right? So I was sent to Abu Dhabi and France for all my trainings, right? So 2 times in Abu Dhabi and 2 times in France. So in Abu Dhabi, it is called Middle East and Asia Learning Center, and in France they call it the Europe Learning Center, right? And all these trainings are conducted in English, right? So there will be no problem. There'll be no language barrier. So everything is perfect, right? So throughout this training, you know, you'll be going through extensive hands-on experience. You know, how would I say this, right? Multiple quizzes, exams, multiple presentations. You know, and a project that will be assigned to you and your team, and you have to deliver that in 1 week, right? Imagine having all these, right? Quizzes, exams, multiple presentations, and projects, right? And we cannot fail the exams more than 2 times. You know, it's a very straightforward game. You go there, you pass, and you come back. That's it. It's a very straightforward game. You can never fail, because if you fail more than 2 times, and you'll be sent back home. So basically, you know, the stress is real, you know. But I always believe, you know, these stresses actually put you into better shape. You know, they actually put you into, you know, like when you have stress, you tend to perform a job better. Don't you think so? You know, and the good part about it is that when you actually go for training, there'll be no job assigned to you. You know, your manager will give you the full 100% focus on getting your training done, you know. So to make sure that you have the 100% focus on what you should actually do on your training, right? And the whole idea of this structured training system is to actually ensure you, to get you certified. Not just certified, right? To make sure that you're competent enough to do your job with no issues. And then, of course, to make sure that you are comfortable to handle tasks given. And of course, you know, always, the thing that I would say is that to handle your client, right? And all these trainings are actually designated to help you to handle your client better, to help your client understand things better, right? And then, last thing that probably everyone's looking for, the opportunity to travel, right? And then, disclaimer, I just want to make a disclaimer here. All these trips are not sponsored, by the way. It is all self-paid, but you somehow, you somehow save the flight tickets, right? Because, I mean, you're already there. You're already there, and then you just need to travel in the weekends. So the left picture on here, it was me when I visited the tallest building in the world, Burj Khalifa in Dubai. And on the right is me when I visited the Eiffel Tower in Paris, the city of love, they call it, right? And all of these trips, I traveled in the weekend during my training period, of course, you're not encouraged to actually go out of country, right? Because imagine if you miss flight coming back and that's it. I mean, that there's no tolerations on that, right? So we always need to choose the short distance travel so that we can come back on time for your training, because your main objective there is to training, right? To training. So travel is like your side things, right? So you shouldn't put your travel as the top priority. I'm saying that this is the opportunity to travel, right? And then, the next thing is that, that I want to share with you is that, thinking about this one, right? The next thing, if you allow me to share with you some of my personal experience and brought up, right? So hopefully this can relate better to some of you. This picture on the left is me and my family back in 2000. So this, we can't afford to stay in hotel in Genting Highland back then. And we stay in the car overnight, opening the window and feel the fresh air outside, right? So, and then we cook instant noodle using a small camping stove. I'm not sure if you guys know about that camping stove, right? It's like a small one, right? So, nothing fancy, but very happy. I just want to let you know, guys, I was born in situation where I live under average, right? Not poor, but under average. So my parents always give me the best they can, make sure that I never starve. Both my parents never been to university. And when I was small, people looked down my mom because she was not formally educated and she can't speak English, I ever told myself that I will never let it happen again, right? And, and of course, not to forget, my only my one and only brother, they're always there to protect and support me no matter what happened. He ever told me this, when life gives you lemon, make lemon juice out of it. In Chinese term, it simply means that when life is tough on you, make the best out of it, right? Remember that life is never fair. You have to work hard for what you want, right? The message that I'm trying to tell you here is that just because you're born poor or under average, it doesn't mean that you will stay poor or under average forever. You yourself, you can make a difference. And this is why I put this as a title, right? I really want to encourage you guys to know what you want, work towards your goals. This is why I'm here, right? And then, the relating back to the previous one, the very first day I started work, I promised myself, and to my parents that I'll bring them to Europe one day, right? And the very, very first 2 years itself, 2 years of work itself, I managed to bring my parents to 5 different countries on my own expenses. Switzerland, Italy, Norway, Finland, and Russia, right? So, and I also fulfill my dad's biggest dream of watching the Northern Lights in Norway. So, and then again, what I'm trying to tell in this picture, in this message is that, find your direction, find your goal, know what you want, and work towards it. For me, this is what I want, right? And they are the reasons why I strive hard in life to give my parents a better life. I hope that you will find your goals one day. right? And find someone that can inspire you, find someone that can motivate you, your pillar of strength, right? It can be your dad, your mom, your brother, your sister, right? Find them, work as an inspiration, and then work towards your goal and then achieve them. And this look at this. All these pictures I took on my own, right? It's not taken from Google or wherever, right? So it was taken when I traveled to India. So imagine having this, right? So think about it. Before you give up, remember there are always people that are more unfortunate than you. Before you start blaming and whining about life, you don't have this, you don't have that, right? So think about them, right? Probably one of the poorest country, India is probably one of the poorest country that I've seen so far. These are the place of where I consider as a place of self-reflection, that I would say, right? So you will realize how fortunate you are when you are there, So what I'm trying to say here is that be grateful for what you have, and you will start to appreciate life more and more. Your worst meal might be the best meal of a day. Think about it, right? Think about it. We need to be grateful. And probably the last slide that I have here, and that I would like to pass this message to you guys. Help each other during this pandemic. The reason why I'm showing this picture, as you can imagine, we are all in the same situation, but we are not all in the same boat, right? So that simply means that we are all in this pandemic together, but not everyone living a good and easy life, right? So there are people who suffer a lot from this pandemic, lost their jobs and a lot of things, right? So I really hope that those of you who are capable, please give your helping hands to those needed. Let's show some humanity. This is when the when is the people? The people that need the most, right? So apart from that, as a student in this current situation, yes, I understand that all the classes and activities has to stop right now, but never forget to look for alternative, right? Like upskilling yourself, learning new things via online channels, such as webinars, right? Maybe you can even start with something small, maybe, entrepreneur, be active on club activities virtually, right? So these are the things that you can actually look through and learn yourself, right? And then the last one, probably the best thing, that you can, this is a time where you actually spend more time with your family, right? If you're far away, remember to always give your parents a call, once a day can be good, it doesn't have to be a long conversation. It's just calling them, make sure that they're okay, they're eating well, and how's their work. So that's what I do every day, right? So remember, guys, just make sure help each other during this pandemic, and we will get through it. And the last thing, you can always reach me in LinkedIn. Just search on this link. I assume that you should have it by now. If you do not, please start creating a LinkedIn profile, because that's so important to get yourself an internship and a job, right? And yeah, that's it. That's all for my part. I'll open to Q&A if I still have time.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Dennis. Thank you. Such a meaningful and wonderful session. Truly inspiring and motivating. Thank you so much. All right. There are questions for you here, Mr. Dennis, from our viewers. The first question is coming from Alvin Ng. Can you briefly explain about crack spread? Mr. Dennis?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry.
All right.
Some technical error. Okay, so wait, can you briefly explain about crack spread?
Spread, yeah.
Yeah. I probably need to apologize because I do not have an answer to that, because I'm not sure about what is crack spread as well. Probably you can teach me, right? Sorry, Alvin. I'm not sure about what is a crack spread, so I'm not able to provide this information to you.
Our next question is from Sabrina Sita. Her question is, I'm currently doing my degree in civil engineering and I want to be involved in the oil and gas field. I have my mind to join Schlumberger after my degree. Can you please advise me what position am I able to join as? I would love to get a project engineer position instead of field engineer.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I think like I said previously first of all, Sabrina, thank you for the questions. I mean, it's a very very good questions, right? So answering to your questions is that Samaji is a very very good equalizer, right? Like I said before, no matter what kind of background you have, you can always join, right? So and the thing is that like for example, we have this kind of, if I'm not mistaken, they have like project engineers where they actually do kind of project planning for the field, and this kind of I mean, if you're not looking for field engineers, there are always this position for project engineers, and yeah.
All right, thank you. Right, our next question is from LED Chiu. And her question is, as UK and other countries are going to ban sale of new petrol and diesel cars soon, how will this affect petroleum and oil engineers? What will you do to prepare yourself ready for that challenge, Mr. Dennis?
Okay, I'm reading the question. Sorry, yeah.
All right.
Okay, so let me just so basically, like we so far right now, we have I mean, based on what I know is that we have existing some of the contracts with the clients, right? On an ongoing projects, and we expect this sort of needs in petroleum, right? Needs and petroleum still going to last for quite a long time, right? So, I mean, for me myself, how I'm going to prepare for myself, of course, like me as a student, me as a reservoir engineer, and the fact is that how can I say this, right? When so it's more like you just need to keep on learning, keep on learning, and make sure that you are fully equipped. I probably would not have this, prepare yourself, asking this, having this answer to this, what will you do to prepare yourself ready for challenges. So in general, let's put it this way, right? Okay, let's put it this way. In general, when you talk about it, right, you need to always equip yourself with all this knowledge, and of course your skills, right? I mean, when you have skills, right, so basically you carry the skills to anywhere else in the world, right? Hopefully that answers questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dennis. Our next question is from Akmal Hakim, and his question is how was the interview with Schlumberger? Is it scary, and tips for us during interview?
Okay. All right. So let me just show you the slides. That'll be better, right? If I can have this. Okay, so let's take a look, Akmal. So in here, right, I actually put these questions for a reason, actually. When we talk about, tell me a little about yourself, right? So these are all the important questions that you need to prepare yourself, right? I mean, of course, it is scary, like my tips. I mean, my advice to you. My advice to you as a student is that you need to prepare yourself. I mean, you need to practice interviews. I before I actually went for interview, I actually practice with people. Like practice with your friends. You have this kind of like self talking kind of thing. Like for example, you're hiding at a corner. You probably will be like talking to yourself, practicing. It's all required practicing. I would actually recommend on this because when someone tell you that it is not scary in interview, it is a lie, for sure. I mean, everyone, they'll be afraid. Even me myself. Even even a 10 years experience, a 20 years experience. When it come to interview, they will be afraid. Why are you afraid? Why are you scared? Because you care, right? The very first thing, right? Because you care, and this is a tips. Coming back to these tips, right? That actually will help you, hopefully. When you talk about little about yourself, right? So let me just give you some soalan bocola, soalan bocola, okay? So when you talk about, tell me a little about yourself. Like, for example, prepare yourself in 2 minutes. You talk about yourself. When I did my interview with Schlumberger, is that tell me about yourself and what is your three biggest strength, what is your three biggest weakness in 2 minutes, and how are you going to tell that, right? So it is almost impossible. I mean, think about it. It is almost impossible. But if you actually do homework and you actually work on it, this is definitely possible. The thing is that you just need to pick on the things that you need to make sure what is important about you and what is the most significant achievement about you, right? So, and of course, always like me, I'm not a interview expert. I'm not a resume expert. I will always advise students to actually go to someone like who is more professional in a way, right? So they can actually I think in LinkedIn they have this kind of things. I've seen a lot. LinkedIn, they have this kind of sort of workshop, resume writing, or maybe how to prepare you for interview, right? I mean, this kind of things that you can actually think about when you proceed to apply jobs, right? So go Google, do your homework, and practice. There you go.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dennis. Our next question is from Ashraf Azhar. What is your source of motivation, Mr. Dennis?
So my source of motivation, I mean, it is to be honest, this is it, right? I show you this picture. They are my motivation, right? My motivation. So like I said, know what you want. Like for me, I wanted to give my parents a better life, right? I mean, apart from that, how you want to progress your career? How do you want to progress as a human? As someone who is successful, right? Look at, there's so many successful people in the world, right? I mean, to be honest, for me, I would not consider myself successful, right? I'm still learning. There's so many things that I'm still learning till now, that are still looking into, those successful people. I'm still learning from them. But you need to set yourself, which are the things that you want to work on. Who are the who I mean your family members that actually inspire you. Like for me, if you ask me, source of motivation is my parents, right? They are the one, they are the reason for who I am today. I mean, that'll be it. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Mr. Dennis. Then our next question is from Rui Ki, and his question is, may I ask what made you decide to start working so hard in third and final year?
Hi, Ricky. That was a very good question. Thanks. So, okay, the time, right? I had a very very relaxed first year and second year, to be honest. So we have 4 years of a degree. So in the first year and the second year, we had a very very relaxed. I have a very relaxed first and second year, right? So it's more like I did not achieve anything. I did not achieve anything. It's more like I was just an ordinary student. Study, and then after that, you go enjoy with your friends, and then you do that, right? So when it started third year, right, you think about it. Before internship, you have that thought, right? You see, like, what I'm gonna do with my life, man. It's like, are you going to just going to be relaxed like for the entire 4 years? What are you going to achieve? That was all in my mind. And I started to have that thought, right? Thinking like, there's nothing I achieve. this is where I should start. I should start now. That is why I'm telling the students that don't be afraid. You start in third year, start in final year. I actually started in third year. It's because that I have lost a lot time in my first year and second year, and then I think that I should do something about it in my third year. I should achieve something. And it's not just that, talking about all the skills, it actually equips yourself. I mean, of course, other than having a good resumes, good interviews, and making yourself, looks successful, but the most important part in getting yourself equipped with all these skills is actually the one that you're going to apply when you start working. Thanks, Ricky.
Thank you, Ricky. All right. Next question is from Sabrina. Sir, if I would want to do my internship in Schlumberger, I would join as the wireline field trainee too.
Oh, hi, Sabrina. Yeah, sure. I mean, let me show you that, right? I show you the pictures now. So, okay. So this guy, I mean, all of them, probably, I think this is only from Petroleum. I think two of them, they are not from petroleum engineering. This guy, he's from civil engineering, and this guy is from chemical engineering. And this lady over here, she's chemical engineering, chemical gas engineering. So, if you have any kind of background, I mean, do not worry, just apply, and what matter the most is actually your achievement and then your capability to perform, right? Because what I want to tell you is that don't worry about what is your background, because when you enter Schlumberger, you will start zero. What I'm trying to say here, zero, is that you start with they'll start to train you. They give you all these trainings, structured trainings, like I mentioned just now. Sending you to multiple tasks, giving you different trainings and all that, right? So to make sure that you are competent as a wireline field engineer, and or a wireline field trainee, right? You can always, apply internship in careers.slb.com. Yeah. So that is where we usually apply.
Thank you. Our next question is from Abdul Aziz. Please, can you share with us the future of oil and gas industry for us future graduates? How will employability be since due to COVID-19, the oil and gas sector is really affected? Any advice for us? Thank you, Mr. Dennis.
Hi, Abdul. Thanks for the questions. I mean, to be honest, it's a tough time, right? So, I understand you guys in a sense that, it is very, very tough. But the thing is that, there are certain things that we actually can do, right? I mean, instead of just worry just about all this. So what I would suggest is that equip yourself during this time, make use of this time, because imagine like you can talk about a year of probably unemployment, right? So use that 1 year to actually equip yourself with the skills. For example, joining webinars and having this skill sets, like doing maybe some entrepreneur, like a small business or something like that, right? That actually helps your thought process and actually help you equip your skills, right? Rather than just wasting that 1 year, right? So what you can do is that you equip yourself, make use of it, spend time with your family within that 1 year, and then when the pandemic goes away, and then when the industry picks up, and then there is where you fit in the company, right? So to be honest, there is no, this is a very subjective things, right? It's a very subjective question. I mean, there's no right or wrong saying that, it's just that how you actually utilize that 1 year or even that duration period while you're waiting, right?
All right, thank you. Our next question is from Muhammad Azwan. Mr. Dennis, do you intend to be an IR?
Oh, hi, Azwan. I mean, being an IR, I mean that was once in my thought. I mean, you read my mind, kind of. But I mean, that will be later, right? I mean, it has been in my mind before. So right now, I'm focusing on different things. I'm focusing on prioritizing on different things in my life and my career. So I mean, in future, why not? I mean, I would love to.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, since we have been given a limit of time, I'm sorry we couldn't read all of the questions. And then we have reached the end of the program. Thank you so much, Mr. Dennis. Thank you for sharing your wonderful and precious time with us and sharing such an inspiring speech with us. And it was a great pleasure having you today. And to all viewers, thank you so much. Stay tuned for more upcoming webinars on our Facebook page. Don't forget to like, comment, and share our program. And hopefully we will meet again in the next section. And Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and bye for now. Bye everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
You take
you.
care.
Stay safe,
Bye.
everyone. Take
Stay
care.
safe.